The afternoon sun filtered through the dining room windows as I sat across from Patricia and George Hamilton, my late husband's parents. Their expensive clothes and polished manners couldn't disguise the predatory gleam in their eyes. "Emma, darling," Patricia cooed, sliding another document toward me. "These are just standard trust fund arrangements. Nothing to worry about. My name is Emma Hamilton, and at 29 I was fighting to protect my 6-month-old daughter's future from the very people who should have been guarding it. My husband, Michael, had died in a car accident 3 months ago, leaving behind a substantial trust fund for our daughter, Charlotte. What the Hamiltons didn't know was that Michael had warned me about them long before his death. "They'll try to take control," he'd said during one of our late-night conversations. "They've done it before with my cousin's inheritance. You need to be ready." That's why I was wearing the camera necklace today. Its tiny lens recording every smile, every gesture, every threat disguised as concern. "We just want what's best for Charlotte," George added, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. "The trust fund needs proper management, and as her grandparents, we have experience with these matters." I pretended to study the papers, though I already knew what they contained. My lawyer had warned me about the clever legal language buried in the fine print. Clauses that would hand them complete control over Charlotte's inheritance, with the power to reinvest the money however they saw fit. "I don't understand some of these terms," I said carefully, playing my part. "Maybe I should have my lawyer look them over." Patricia's smile tightened. "Oh, there's no need for that. We're family. Besides, the deadline for filing these papers is tomorrow. We're just trying to help." The urgency was a lie, of course. Just like the deadline they'd fabricated to pressure me into signing. But I kept my face neutral, channeling every acting class I'd ever taken in college. What they didn't realize was that I'd been preparing for this moment for weeks. Every casual visit, every helpful suggestion, every attempt to access Charlotte's documents, I had documented it all. The camera in my necklace was just the latest piece of evidence, but it would be the most damaging. The next morning I met with my lawyer, Sarah Chin, in her downtown office. We reviewed the footage from my necklace camera, and her expression grew darker with each passing minute. "This is enlightening," she said, pausing the video where Patricia was explaining how they'd manage the trust fund. "They're not even trying to be subtle about their intentions." I nodded, bouncing Charlotte gently in my arms. "There's more. I have recordings of 3 other meetings, plus emails where they tried to get me to sign different documents." Sarah's eyes lit up. "And you kept copies of all those documents?" "Everything," I confirmed, "including the ones they accidentally left at my house last week." Just then my phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. "Dear, we really need those papers signed today. We're coming by this afternoon to finish this up." I showed Sarah the message. She smiled, the kind of smile that made me grateful she was on my side. "Perfect timing," she said, "because I just finished preparing our response to their little scheme." Michael hadn't just warned me about his parents. He had helped me set up a series of legal protections before his death. "The trust fund is already locked down," Sarah explained. "What they're trying to get you to sign would actually be illegal. They're attempting to transfer control of assets that are legally bound to Charlotte." That afternoon when the Hamiltons arrived at my house, they didn't just find me. Sarah was there along with 2 representatives from the bank managing Charlotte's trust. "What's this?" George demanded, his confident facade cracking slightly. "We need to talk," I said calmly, gesturing to the living room. "About fraud." Patricia's perfectly manicured hand flew to her throat. "Fraud? Emma, dear, what are you implying?" Sarah stepped forward, laying out documents on the coffee table. "Let's start with these attempts to illegally access trust fund documents. Then we can discuss the forged signatures we found on previous transfer attempts." The color drained from both their faces as Sarah methodically presented the evidence. Recordings, documents, email trails. It all painted a clear picture of their scheme. "This is ridiculous," George blustered, but his voice lacked conviction. "We were only trying to help." "Help yourselves, you mean," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Just like you helped with Cousin Rachel's inheritance." That made them freeze. The incident with Rachel's trust fund had been carefully buried, but Michael had told me everything. And now their past was about to come back to destroy them. Inheritance. That's how the Hamiltons had built their reputation. But behind the polished facade, They had drained fortunes through investment opportunities that somehow never paid off. "You have two choices," Sarah explained, her tone professional but firm. "You can walk away now, sign these papers agreeing to stay away from Charlotte's trust fund, and we keep this quiet. Or," she let the threat hang in the air. The Hamiltons' reputation in their social circle meant everything. A public scandal involving attempted fraud against their own granddaughter would destroy them. Patricia was the first to break. "Fine," she whispered, reaching for the papers Sarah had prepared. "What do you want us to sign?" As they reviewed the agreement, I held Charlotte close, remembering all the times Michael had shielded me from his parents' manipulations. Now it was my turn to protect our daughter. The agreement was comprehensive. They would have no access to Charlotte's trust fund. Any attempts to contact the bank or trustees would result in immediate legal action. They could maintain a relationship with their granddaughter, but only under strict, supervised conditions. "This is extreme," George protested weakly. But he signed anyway, his hand trembling, the first sign of weakness I had ever seen from him. After they left, Sarah stayed to help secure the final paperwork. "They won't give up easily," she warned. "People like that rarely do." He was right. Over the next few months, the Hamiltons tried different tactics. They sent flying monkeys, family friends and business associates, who just happened to hear about the situation and wanted to mediate. Each attempt was met with the same response: a firm reminder of the evidence we held. Then came the social media campaign. Patricia began posting about being unfairly separated from her granddaughter. I responded by having Sarah send their lawyer a single clip from our recorded meetings. The posts vanished within hours. A year after our confrontation, I received an unexpected letter from Rachel, Michael's cousin. She had heard about what happened and wanted to share her story. Together, we discovered 3 other family members who had been victims of similar schemes. The Hamiltons' carefully constructed reputation began to crumble. Their once powerful social circle turned against them as the truth spread. Eventually, they moved to Florida, claiming they needed a change of climate. Today, Charlotte is 3 years old, her trust fund secure and growing. The money that might have disappeared into the Hamilton schemes will now fund her education, her dreams, her future. I keep the camera necklace in a box with Michael's other belongings. Sometimes when Charlotte asks about her daddy, I tell her how he protected us, even after he was gone. How he taught me that sometimes the best defense isn't confrontation, but careful preparation. The Hamiltons still send birthday cards to Charlotte. Each one contains carefully worded requests to rebuild our relationship. Each one goes into a file, documented and dated just in case. Because if Michael taught me anything, it's this: with people like his parents, you can never be too careful. Last week, I received news that George and Patricia had tried their scheme again, this time with a distant cousin's widow. But word had spread. She was ready for them with a recording device of her own. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about winning or hurting those who tried to hurt you. It's about protecting others from experiencing the same pain. Michael's warning didn't just save Charlotte's inheritance. It started a chain reaction that finally exposed the truth about his parents. The trust fund the Hamiltons had so desperately tried to control has been put to better use. Part of it now funds a legal program for widows and children facing similar battles. Because sometimes the best way to honor someone's memory is to continue their work of protecting others. Charlotte will grow up knowing that her father's love extended beyond his life, that her mother fought for her future, and that sometimes the quietest victories are the most meaningful. And somewhere I like to think Michael is smiling, knowing his parents' final attempt to control their family became the very thing that stopped them forever.